Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. So on today's video tutorial, guys, we're going to be having a look at question 4.1 from the grade 12 mathematical literacy paper 1 that was written in June 2023. And this question basically deals with bank tariffs. So this question is under the umbrella of tariff systems, right? In particular bank tariffs. Okay, so please make sure that you watch the entire video tutorial, and I hope that you guys actually watched the video tutorial that I spoke about in the previous video lesson, right, where I said that I've actually done a nice lesson on bank tariffs. So if you basically watched that lesson, this lesson should be a breeze. Okay, so before we get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also don't forget to give all these video tutorials a huge thumbs up, because that really helps the channel grow and it helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks. Also, guys, another way that you guys can also support the channel is by becoming a member. All right, the perks of being a member is that you get to watch all the video tutorials that I upload way earlier than the rest, guys. Okay, so you don't have to wait until I upload the tutorial at 6 p.m. every day. You can just watch it like a day before, 2 days before, 3 days before. Okay, so that is basically the perks of becoming a member. You don't have to wait for the video tutorials to go public the next day at 6 p.m. Okay, so guys, if you can, please consider being a member. All right, however, if you can't be a member, guys, the video tutorials still go public every day at 6 p.m. All right, so without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. Like I mentioned in today's video tutorial, guys, we're going to be having a look at question 4.1, and question 4.1, guys, deals with bank tariffs. Okay, so let us have a look. It says that Katleho is employed at a school by the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, right? PYEI. He earns a salary of 4,000 per month. All right, okay, so I'm just going to be highlighting the keywords. We might need them, you know. So his salary is 4,000 per month. He presently has a Nedbank pay as you use account, but is thinking of changing to a Capitec Global One account. So we are told that Katla basically has a Nedbank pay as you use account, but he actually wants to change banks, right? And he wants to go to Capitec, right? We are told now the table below shows the transactional fees for the two banks. Okay, so the fees that you basically get charged for depositing money into your bank, doing cash withdrawals, debit orders, sending cash, buying airtime, data, electricity, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this table basically shows the fees, okay, for these two banks for actually doing these types of transactions. Okay, so let's see. If you basically make a deposit, right, at an ATM, Nedbank basically charges R1.30 per 100 Rand that you deposit. Okay, if you make deposits at a branch, let's say Katlo decides that he wants to go into Nedbank and make the deposit inside the branch, okay, they will charge him 80 Rand plus 2.30 per 100 Rand that he deposits. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, let's say he does cash withdrawals at his own ATM. So let's say so they've basically told us that he basically banks with Nedbank, right? So if he decides that now he wants to do a withdrawal, right, withdraw money from Nedbank, right, they charge him 9 Rand per 100 Rand or part thereof. Okay, so in the other video tutorial, guys, I already explained what it means when they say part thereof, okay, and how you need to go about determining how much you'd actually pay when they basically include this statement, okay, in our bank fees. Okay, then we are told cash withdrawals at other ATM. So let's say Katlawa decides that now he wants to use his Nedbank card to withdraw money, but now he's not withdrawing money at a Nedbank ATM. He decides now he wants to withdraw money at an FNB ATM with his Nedbank card. Then this is how much he's going to be charged. He's going to be charged 11 Rand plus 2 Rand 30 per 100 Rand or part thereof. Okay. If he decides to do cash withdrawals inside the branch, so if he decides to go inside Nedbank to maybe withdraw 1,000 Rand, okay, this is how much he's going to be charged: 80 Rand plus 2 Rand 30 per 100 Rand that he withdraws. Okay, then debit orders. Okay, so if he gets a debit orders are free if he banks with Nedbank, right? Then your debit order external, right? So if it's external debit orders, they charge him 5 Rand. Okay, then if he sends cash, right, between 1 Rand to 1,000 Rand, if he sends between 1 Rand to 1,000 Rand, right, he will pay 10 Rand. If he sends cash between 1,001 Rand to 5,000 Rand, he gets charged 15 Rand. Okay, if he decides to buy airtime or data or electricity using his own ATM, the Nedbank ATM, he'll be charged 1 Rand 50. If he buys airtime, data, electricity at another ATM, right, an ATM that is not Nedbank, he will get charged 10 Rand. Okay, and the same basically applies. If he basically decides now that he wants to basically use or bank with Capitec, right, the same concepts will apply here. Okay, so that's basically us analyzing transactional fees of these two banks. I think we're more than ready to have a look at the questions that are given. It says use table 3 and the above information, okay, to answer the questions that follow. It says give one reason why banks charge more for branch deposits than ATM deposits. Okay, so they're basically talking about branch deposits, right? So you guys saw that when we were basically analyzing the transactional fees for the two banks, we saw that they actually, when you decide to deposit at an ATM, it's cheaper as compared to if you decide to deposit at a branch. So why do you think that's the case? Why would banks charge you more for actually depositing inside the bank, right? If they're saying the branch, they're basically saying that if you decide that you want to basically make your deposit inside the bank, why do they actually charge you more for that? Okay, one reason that I thought of is that they basically charge more if you decide to do your deposits in a branch, okay, just to discourage clients from doing deposits in a branch. They want clients or customers to actually make the deposits in an ATM, right? So that's why the prices are actually like skyrocketed if you decide that now you want to make your deposit at a branch. Okay, so to discourage clients, okay, they want to actually basically reduce the number of people that visit the bank. Okay, or another reason that we can give, right, is that honestly, guys, if you now decide that you want to make a deposit at a branch, right, that basically means that that bank needs to pay its employees, right? Okay, so that's why they have to charge you slightly more, okay, because now the bank has to pay the employees that are working inside the bank. So if they have to now so if you want to make use of the services inside the bank, that means that the bank needs to get employees, okay, to assist customers. So that's why probably then the prices would be way higher if you decide to do your deposits inside a bank. Okay, so any of those reasons would be accepted. Okay, so these are the two reasons that you can basically use, that banks have to pay employees that are working in the bank, or you can say that banks are discouraging clients from making use of the branch. They want to reduce the number of people visiting the bank. Okay, so any one of these reasons will basically score you 2 marks. Okay, so let's have a look at the next question. Question 4.1.2 says, determine the difference. Okay, so I think at this point we already know, right? If they're talking about the difference, we already know that we're going to be subtracting something from something. Okay, however, the question will tell you what we want to subtract, Okay, so determine the difference in the cost of an external debit order using a Nedbank pay as you use account and a Capitec Global One account. What will be the difference in the cost, right? If when it comes to the external debit order, if you're using the Nedbank pay as you use account, and when you're using the Capitec Global account. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is that we already know that we want the difference. So we're going to be subtracting something from something, right? What are we subtracting, right? It tells us that we want to subtract values, right, pertaining to your external debit order. Okay, so we're going to draw our attention to the external debit orders. Okay, what are the external debit orders? So we're going to have a look here, right? This row deals with the external debit orders, right? Okay, then the first value here, this 5 rand, tells us about how much you would pay for an external debit order if you're using the Nedbank pay as you use account, and then this value tells us how much you would pay for an external debit order if you're using the Capitec Global. Okay, so from here, nice and easy. Okay, it's question 4.1.2. Okay, so you want to find what is going to be the difference in the cost. Okay, right? What is the difference in cost if you are basically using the Nedbank pay as you use? Okay, and if you are basically using the Capitec Global One account. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on the external debit orders. Okay, so what is the price, okay, for your external debit order if you basically banking with Nedbank, right? We found that the price here, right, is 5 rand. So we're going to write the 5 rand down minus what is the price for an external debit if you're using Capitec? We found that to be 150. Okay, so if you punch that into your calculator, the difference in the costs between basically making an external debit order with Nedbank and an external debit order with Capitec is actually equal to 3 rand 50. Okay, so this is also still an easy 2 marks. All that you need to do is just focus your attention on the correct row, on the correct column, highlight the keywords, and you should be fine. Okay, let's have a look at question 4.1.3. So question 4.1.3, guys, is out of 7 marks. Okay, so if you basically watched that bank tariffs video tutorial, you should be fine. Okay, because then you should know what you should do if you're dealing with statements that say things like part thereof. What do they mean by that? What are you supposed to do? Okay, so let's see. It says that Katlawa had the following monthly transactions on his bank statement. Okay, so these are Katlawa's monthly transactions on his bank statement, right? Katlawa basically had 2 external debit orders. Okay, so there was an external debit order and there were 2 of them, right? He had 1 cash withdrawal of 1,000 rand at own bank ATM, right? He had 1 cash withdrawal of 450 at another bank ATM, and he had 1 send cash transaction of 1,500 to his mother. Okay, the Capitec banking fees for the listed transactions are 45 rand. Katlawa states that he would have saved, right? He states that he would have saved 20 rand and 50 cents on bank fees if he banked with Capitec rather than Nedbank. Okay, so here we are basically given information, right? They are telling us that the banking fees, right, for Capitec, right? So if he was basically banking with Capitec, right, the banking fees for these following transactions, right, was actually going to be 45 rand for doing the 2 external debit orders, for the cash withdrawal at own bank ATM, for the cash withdrawal at another bank ATM, for 1 send cash transaction. All of these transactions, if he banked with Capitec, was going to be 45 rand. Okay, and then he basically states that if he banked with Capitec, right, instead of Nedbank, he would have saved 20 rand and 50 cents. So then here, what do we actually need to do to verify whether his statement is valid. Okay, do you guys realize that now, because we already know what the transaction fees for Capitec are, right? We need to now determine what would be the transaction fees for Nedbank. After we've determined what the transaction fees would be for a Nedbank, then we will be able to then compare the costs and find what is actually the difference in the transaction fees, and then from there we will be able to then conclude whether his statement is valid or not. Okay, so now the first step here is just us determining what are the transaction fees for these transactions, right? For Nedbank. Okay, how much would he pay? Okay, because he basically banks with Nedbank, how much are these transaction fees? And then we'll take it from. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the two external debit orders. Okay, so I'm just basically going to rub this off. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight the rows that we're gonna be focusing on. Okay, remember we're gonna be focusing on the external debit orders. So we're gonna be focusing on this row. That's the first row we're gonna be focusing on. Okay, that is our number one. Okay, right. The next row that we're going to be focusing on is the cash withdrawals at own bank ATM. Okay, so that's the cash withdrawals at own bank. So the cash withdrawals at own, we're going to be focusing on this one. Okay, you see this row basically deals with that part there of statement. Okay, so you need to now pay attention when we get to this calculation, right? The other transaction that we're going to be focusing on, right, is the one cash withdrawal at another bank ATM. So this is the second one that you want to be focusing on. The third one is the cash withdrawal at other. Okay, that's the third transaction you're going to be focusing on, right? And lastly, we're going to be focusing on the 1 cent cash transaction of 1,000 to his mother. Okay, so he sent cash to the value of 1,500. Okay, so remember here we've got the send cash transaction for if he's sending an amount between 1 rand to 1,000. Then we've got the send cash transaction if he's sending an amount of 1,001 rand to 5,000. So because he basically sent 1,500 to his mom, then we're going to focus on this transaction here. Okay, so that is basically the last transaction we are going to be focusing on to basically determine the fees that he would pay at Nedbank. Okay, so basically I'm just drawing our attention to all the important values, all the important rows. Okay, so we're going to start off with row number one, right? Row number one basically talks with the debit order, right? And remember we are told that he basically did two external debit orders. Okay, so we want to focus on what the prices will be if he basically banks with Nedbank. So we're just going to be focusing on the Nedbank fees because we were already told what the fees would be for Capitec. Okay, so we want to basically find out what the transaction fees would then be for basically using Nedbank. Okay, so I'm going to do question 4.1.3. Okay, here. All right. Okay, so for the two external debit orders, right, the calculations. Okay, so I'm going to say that the transactional fees are equal to, I'm just going to start off by obviously making the list, right? So it's the two external debit orders, right? Plus the one cash withdrawal, okay, at own bank, plus cash withdrawal, the one cash withdrawal at other ATM, plus 1 cent cash transaction to the value of 1,500. So I'm just basically writing this for the purpose of you understanding what's going on. Okay, so from here we can continue to basically now do the calculations. I'm going to start off with the two external debit orders. Okay, so for the two external debit orders, how much does he pay at Nedbank for doing your external debit orders, right? He basically pays 5 rand for one external debit order. However, we are told that he made two external debit orders. Okay, so from here we are just simply going to take your 5 rand and you are going to multiply it by 2. Okay, so if you take 5 rand and you multiply it by 2, you will get 10 rand. Okay, so he will pay 10 rand for the external debit orders at Nedbank. Okay, let's continue. We've done the first part of the calculation. Okay, next one, we need to determine what will he pay for your cash withdrawals at own bank. Okay, so we're going to have a look at our table. We want to focus on the cash withdrawals at own bank. So this is basically number 2. Okay, so we're going to be focusing here. Cash withdrawals at own bank, right? And we are told that he needs to pay 9 rand per 1,000 or part thereof. Okay, so how much cash did he actually withdraw? Okay, we are told that he made one cash withdrawal of 1,500 at own bank. Okay, so the first thing we need to do now to determine how much he will pay for basically doing that transaction, right? Because let me just write this here, right? We are told that he basically pays, okay, we're trying to find how much he'll pay for the cash withdrawal at the own bank of 1,500. Okay, we are basically told here, right, that he pays 9 rand, okay, per 1,000 or part thereof. Okay, very important statement. So how will we go about determining how much he will then pay for this transaction? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take that amount that he basically withdrew. He withdrew 1,500. Okay, and we're going to divide that 1,500 by that 1,000. Okay, to determine how many 1,000 rand notes. I mean, how many 1,000 rands did he actually withdraw? Okay, so we're going to take that 1,005 and we're going to divide it by 1,000 to determine how many 1,000 rand notes did he basically withdraw. Okay, so we're going to take that 1.5 divided by 1,000. Okay, so if you divide by 1,000, you'll find that actually Katleho actually withdrew 1.5 1,000 rand notes. Okay, so now this is where this part thereof statement now comes in. Okay, because now we've now obtained a value that is a decimal, that basically means that we're going to round this value up. We're going to take that value up to a whole number. Okay, because it basically says that if you basically withdraw 1,000 rand at this ATM, you're going to pay 9 rand. Ne? If you withdraw 1,200 from this ATM, you're going to pay 9 rand plus another 9 rand for the other part of the 1,000 rand that you've withdrew, which is the 200 rand. Okay, so that part thereof statement basically means that any other fraction of that 1,000 rand that you withdraw, okay, or any other additional value to the 1,000 rand that you withdraw, you're going to get charged for it. Okay, so if you withdraw 1.2, you will still pay 18 rand because you'll pay the 9 rand for the 1,000 plus another 9 rand for the 200. Okay, if you withdraw 1,700, you'll pay 9 rand for the 1,000 rand and another 9 rand for the 700 rand. Okay, if you withdraw 2,000, okay, you'll pay 9 rand for the 1,000 and another 9 rand for the other 1,000. Okay, so the part thereof statement says that now if you get any decimal value when you are dividing by the 1,000, that means that you are going to round up. Okay, so that means that you are going to be charged you're going to be charged the same amount you would be charged if you withdrew 2,000 rand. Okay, all right, so 1,500 divided by 1,000, you will get 1.5. Then because it's a decimal value and because we were given that part thereof statement, that means that you need to round this value up. Therefore, you will basically be charged for withdrawing 2 1,000 rand banknotes. Okay, or 2 times. Yeah, 2 1,000 rand banknotes. Okay, so from there, what do we do with this value? Therefore, you'll just take that 2 and you're going to multiply by the fee that they charge, okay, for basically withdrawing the banknotes, okay, or withdrawing 1,000. So you're going to take the 2, sorry, and then you're going to multiply by the fee that they charge of 9 rand, okay. And if you take 2, multiply by 9 rand, you will get 18 rand. Okay, so that is the amount you would pay for doing one cash withdrawal at own bank, right? And for doing a cash withdrawal of 1,500. Okay, so this is the final value. This is the final amount. Okay, I hope that I didn't lose anyone there. Okay, let's continue with our calculations, right? So the next one that we want to do now is we said plus one cash withdrawal at other ATM. So let's have a look at the fees for actually doing a cash withdrawal at another ATM. Okay, and the cash withdrawal was to the value of 450. Okay, so Katla basically did a cash withdrawal of 450 at other ATM. Okay, so how much will he get charged? Okay, we're going to have a look at our table again. Okay, we're going to be focusing on this column or this row. So the cash withdrawal at other ATM, we're going to be focusing on these values here, right? We are told that you'll be charged 11 Rand plus 2 Rand and 30 cents per 100 Rand or part thereof. Here is that part thereof statement again. Okay, so here we are told that you will be charged 11 Rand plus 2 Rand 30 per 100 Rand note that you withdraw or part thereof. Okay, so from here again, guys, that part thereof statement basically tells us that if we now take the amount that he withdrew, right, and we divide it by the amount that the number of notes that they look at when you are being charged, right? If you basically get a decimal value, you are basically going to round it up. Okay, so let's see. So we were told that here Katla withdrew 450. So we are gonna take that amount that he withdrew, then you're gonna divide it by 100 because we want to determine how many 100 Rand notes did he actually withdraw. So you're gonna take that 450, wanna divide it by 100. Okay, so we can see here that 450 divided by 100 basically gives us 4.5. Guys, it's not 4.5 Rand, okay? Because the rands and the rands cancel. We are basically, this value basically tells us how many 100 Rand notes did he withdraw. And we can see that he withdrew 400 Rand notes and a half, okay? Okay, so 4.5 is that he withdrew 400 Rand notes and a 50 Rand. Okay, right? So from here, because we're basically getting a decimal value and we've got that part thereof statement, we are going to round that value up. So meaning that the amount that he's going to be charged, right, or the fee that he's going to be charged, he's going to be charged an amount that is actually the same amount that he would be charged if he actually withdrew 500, okay? Or if he actually withdrew 500 Rand notes, okay? So he's going to be charged for withdrawing 500 Rand notes, okay? And then from here, we are going to take this 5 to help us determine how much he's going to pay. Okay, so therefore, the total that he will pay for basically doing this transaction is going to be, we are told that he just pays 11 Rand. So it's going to be that 11 Rand plus, right? Then we want to determine this part of this equation, okay? That 2 Rand per 100 Rand or part thereof. That's what we're trying to add to that 11 Rand, okay? So here we already know that he gets charged for withdrawing 100 Rand notes. So in this case, we are going to basically take that 5 and we're going to multiply it by that 2 Rand and 30, okay? Because you get charged through 2 Rand 30 for every 100 Rand note, okay? Or part of 100 Rand note that you withdraw. Okay, so we're going to take that 5, we're going to multiply it by 2 Rand 30, okay? And that is going to basically give us how much you will pay. Okay, so if you take 5, so it's the same as saying 11 Rand plus 5 times 2 Rand 30 is 11 Rand 50, right? And 11 plus 11 Rand 50 is equal to 22 Rand and 50 cents. All right, so that is how much you will pay for basically doing a cash withdrawal of 450 at another ATM. Okay, so now we've found, right, one, it's in the blue, two, and so now we found one, it's in the blue, two, and three transactional fees. So we just need to do the last one, all right? And the last one, what does the last one say? Okay, he basically did one send cash, okay, transaction of 1,500 to his mother. Okay, so we're gonna look at here. Okay, he did a send cash transaction of 1,005 to his mother. So we know that here he basically gets charged just 15 Rand, okay, for sending any amount between 1,001 to 5,000. And because he basically sent 1,500, it falls within this bracket, okay, and therefore he will just get charged 15 Rand, okay. Okay, he will basically get charged 15 Rand. So we are basically done with all the transaction fees, okay? All that's left for us to do now is we need to then calculate the total banking fees, okay? So in this case, all that we need to do is need to add up all these values together, okay? So the total banking fees, okay, for Nedbank that we've calculated is equal to, right? Remember, we said it's that 5 Rand multiplied by 2. I'm going to rewrite that there. Okay, plus, right? We calculated that 18 Rand. So we got that by, say, 2 multiplied by 9. 2 multiplied by 9 Rand, okay? Plus 11 plus 5 multiplied by 2 Rand 30 plus the 15 Rand, okay? So I'm just doing this just to show you guys what your final answer is supposed to look like, right? Then we found that when we did that 5 multiplied by 2, the 5 Rand multiplied by 2, we basically got your 10 Rand, okay, plus the 2 multiplied by 9. Here we basically got 18 Rand plus the 11 plus the 5 multiplied by 2 and 30. Remember here we basically, so you can just say it's 11 Rand plus the 5 multiplied by 2 and 30. We got that to be 11 Rand 50 plus the 15 Rand. Okay, if you punch these values into your calculator, right, you'll get 65 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, so this is hectic, okay? The banking fees for all these transactions, right? Because Katlao is banking with Nedbank is actually equal to 65 Rand and 50. Okay, so that is the total, okay? Banking fees. However, what was his initial statement? Remember, his initial statement was that, okay, he basically stated that he would have saved 20 Rand 50 if he was banking with Capitec, right? And we were given that the total banking fees, okay, we're told that the banking fees for Capitec was actually equal to 45 Rand, okay? So now we need to basically determine if he would have actually in fact saved 20 Rand and 50 cents. How will we do that? We want to determine what is the difference in the banking fees first, okay? So to get the difference in the fees, right, you'll basically take how much the banking fees were for Nedbank of 65 Rand and 50 cents minus the banking fees for Capitec of 45 Rand, okay? If you punch that into your calculator, 65 Rand and 50 cents minus 45 gives you 20 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, so the difference in the banking fees is actually 20 Rand and 50 cents. So his statement is actually valid. Okay, if he was actually banking with Capitec, right, he would have saved 20 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, he wasn't gonna basically use the additional 20 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, so we can basically conclude that therefore Katleo's statement is valid. Okay, he would have saved 20 Rand and 50 cents on bank fees if he banked with Capitec rather than Nedbank. Okay, so Capitec is with a capital C, it's the name of a bank, right? And that is basically our final answer. Okay, so this question was nice, but I think I actually approached it nicely for you guys just to help you guys see what was actually going on. So I hope you guys appreciated the detailed explanation in terms of what we're supposed to do, the step-by-step approach in just analyzing this question. And I hope everything just made sense to you guys at the end. And I think the most important part was that part thereof statement. Okay, it doesn't get harder than that part thereof statement. Okay, you need to understand what you need to do if you're given that part thereof statement. So still, guys, if you haven't watched that video tutorial where I've basically done a whole lesson on bank tariffs, please watch it. Please watch it, guys. That's the only way that you're gonna learn. Okay, you need to engage with the lessons. You need to literally sit down, buy yourself a distance learning with Lee extra workbook or extra exercise book, right? And do these lessons on that book. That is how you're going to ace mathematical literacy. Okay, because in all my lessons, I go through all concepts in detail. So if you literally engage, literally sit down, do the exercises, you will really do well with math lit. Okay, you can literally get your distinctions, okay, by only just watching my video tutorials and listening also in class, and see what are you also getting from what your teacher is telling you. Okay, so guys, please, let's work. Okay, let us work. That's the only way we're going to get distinctions. All right, so that is it for today's video tutorial, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video tutorial, right? I surely did, right? In the next video tutorial, guys, okay, we're going to be having a look at question 4.2, and question 4.2, guys, it deals with taxation, right? Still under the umbrella of finance, but in particular, we're going to be dealing with taxation. I've done an amazing video tutorial, guys, on taxation, on tax rebates, on what it means when they talk about a tax threshold. Guys, please watch that video tutorial before you guys tackle this, okay? If you watch those video tutorials, you will be fine, okay? Because I explained everything to you guys. What it means when they talk about a primary, secondary, tertiary rebate. How do you go about approaching that? Okay, I see a lot of people asking me questions about if someone is 28 years old, what does it mean? That just means that you haven't watched my video tutorial, guys. Okay, please engage with the video tutorials. Watch them. Okay, watch them, guys. That is how you will learn. Watch. You guys need to sit, watch, listen, take notes. That's how you're gonna learn. All right. So that is it, guys, for today's video tutorial. Please make sure that you watch those tutorials on tax rebates, tax threshold, and what I mean, and what it means when they talk about primary, secondary, and tertiary rebates. Okay, if you watch those video tutorials, this one is going to be a breeze. Okay, so I'll see you guys on my next upload. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.